Antoinette, just a few minutes ago you mentioned the words sea pass. What does this mean?
Sea passes are put up here in New Zealand by the Maori Security Ranger Division. They have a website. They encapsulate not just New Zealand but the whole Pacific. So it's Te Moana Nui a Kiwa. And they have an embassy here in New Zealand. That's the rangers are quite skilled in common law, and they often go into the courts on behalf of people or support people through that system, because the system we have at the moment is the international law or the law of the sea or canon law. So it is a jurisdiction where whatever the captain says is the law. And that came from Admiralty law, where a captain might say, I don't want anyone to go on this part of the ship. That is the law, so no one does. If you do, then you're punished because that's a crime. Then your next captain might say, oh, I don't mind people walking there, and then so now it's not a crime. So international law or canon law is very much like that. It's what the few and the very few that basically pull the strings of the world choose. And that's the way they herd us into whatever
the
area.
Elite.
Yes, it's a nice title, just the elite, yeah. So common law is a state of being. It's the law of the land in Britain. Now we find ourselves with the common law, our inalienable rights, where you have to have a victim to have a crime. So international law, canon law are built with statutes and acts and orders and mandates on top of that. So to combat where we are today and try and get a feel of freedom, an essence of freedom back in our lives, we now think, okay, let's get back into common law and use that against international law and all the legislations and acts that they're putting on us. So in effect, rather than common law being the status quo, the way we live, which and what we would protect, which is what it was all about, we're now weaponizing common law. So we're making it a weapon to fight this international law jurisdiction. And that's where I'm feeling that it doesn't weaponize well, because we're in a international jurisdiction, or at least governed by that in New Zealand, which is unlawful but legal. As we fight with common law, they are changing the rules on us, like the new captain's changing the rules on us. So it's always catch up when you're using common law to, at least weaponizing common law to gain freedoms. So it only goes so far. That's the problem. For me, it's only a short to medium term fix. It won't, it's not like the big cannon. It's like we've got our guns, we might have our machine guns using common law in that metaphor, but we need a cannon to just take out the enemy, the international law. And so the sea pass is a basically, when you enroll for a sea pass, you become a diplomat. So that gives us free sea pass, free passage, because where international law is the law of the sea, it's supposed to give us a pass to other ports, a pass to negotiate our way through international law, even here in New Zealand. That's what it's supposed to do. We're not in a country that has its seat in law. We're in a country that is no longer a democracy. We think it is, but it is not. We are now in a dictatorship. When you are facing a dictatorship, a tyranny that we're facing now, a little sea pass that should work for you because it sits on common law, won't work for you, because the tyranny is saying no. So when you've got a gun in your face and you're saying, I'm a sovereign, I'm a flesh and blood person, I have my common law rights, well, they can squeeze the trigger. See how that goes for you. And that's kind of a picture of how common law won't take us through the next few years at all successfully. I love common law. In my book, We're Revolting, I dedicate a whole chapter called Straw Man. And I really look at it in a 101 framework so people understand. But when you've got tyranny, that will not work for you. When all those millions were sent to the gulags, I bet they said, hey, I've got sovereignty, I'm a flesh and blood person. It didn't change anything. We saw that in Mao's China, the millions that were murdered there. So this is my problem. When everything's fairly equal, common law will serve us well.
So somebody asked the question, is the CPAR still valid under this new system?
Yes, it will be totally valid, but the question perhaps is, will it be needed? Okay. No, it won't be, because we're going to be in a customary law or common law type situation, so you won't need it, because your inalienable rights are protected in He Wakaputanga. Because under He Wakaputanga, words don't have trickery. Words aren't weaponized against us, so we don't have to worry about, oh, I can't be a citizen. That is a word. A word in itself does not have power. It's the dictionary, it's the people that are defining those words that give it its power. So in the international jurisdiction, yeah, those words have got power. So when you're in court and the judge says you, and you respond, he's got you, because even the word you has been weaponized against us. We would be better, again, looking at the King James Bible and telling the judge to talk to you as thou, or thine, that has not been weaponized. That is common law language. You is international language. But in Aotearoa Nutarini, under He Wakaputanga, that many people are enrolling with to be nationals of, we will just use the word you, because in our jurisdiction, because we say so, it doesn't have trickery. And that's a big shift for people, particularly when they're fighting with common law, is they can't understand that perhaps we're using the same words, but we're in a totally different jurisdiction. Just as the captain says over here how he's going to define words and how he's going to define laws, we have the right to do that over here as well. So we're not going to change our language because we still have to live in this wider world. We still got to relate to people out there. It just means the words we use in our jurisdiction are no longer come as part of Black's Law Dictionary, for example. We can take the common dictionary, the simple dictionary, and what it says there is what it means.